top Sable family. Today we celebrate Veterans Day in honor of our service members. This is a day to remember the sacrifices they have made for our country. It is my privilege, on behalf of the students and staff at Sable Elementary School, to say thank you to America's veterans, and especially those as part of our Sable family. Thank you.
Through It is with great pleasure I would like to introduce to you our guest speaker, Henry Hiller. He is a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. He served in Okinawa, Japan, where he provided relief of tsunami victims, and then did a tour in Iraq. Henry is currently an employee of Boeing, where he's a radio frequency engineer, and he's currently working on the space launch system, which is the largest rocket humans have ever built, and it will take people to the moon and to Mars. Without further ado, Henry Hiller.
Everyone, or afternoon, whatever time this gets to you. I hope your morning's been going well, and I hope the rest of your day goes even better. My name is Henry Hiller. I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps from 2003 to 2007. You can see me right there in the center of my first platoon that I was ever involved with. To my immediate, as you're looking at it, to the right, the guy in the green camis, he's a general. The guy to the left, too, in the other green camis, he is a sergeant major. I was born in 1984. I grew up in a little town called Mokina, Illinois. Shouldn't be too far from you. I grew up kind of a normal guy, normal kid. I liked inline skating and skateboarding and riding my bike all over town. Shortly after I graduated high school, that is when I dropped into boot camp. Those guys, those intimidating guys you see right there, those guys are called drill instructors. They will take any boy or girl, and over the course of a 13-week boot camp, they will turn them into United States Marines. So once I got graduated from boot camp, I went on into what they call the Fleet Marine Corps. My first duty station was in Okinawa, Japan. You can see me there. I'm actually underneath what they call those shishi dogs. They got them all over the island. They're pretty cool. And then those are one of the various castles throughout the island there. While I was there, I was actually stationed on an air base. My job was a heavy equipment operator. So you can see in that top left picture, that's me. I was getting promoted that day. And you can see one of the various tasks that we did was we loaded aircraft. So you can see that this is a fighter jet, an FA-18, that we went ahead and loaded into the bigger aircraft that you see down in the bottom. While we were there, we supported many humanitarian relief efforts. So when there was earthquakes in the Philippines and tsunami waves in Sri Lanka, we loaded everything from blankets to water to food, everything that somebody needs in a time of duress. And we loaded these aircrafts, and they flew through to any part of the world that needed that support. After I left Okinawa, Japan, I was there for 2 years. I was then stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So as a heavy equipment operator, I also got to operate that vehicle in the top left. That is a D7 bulldozer. That bulldozer can move, can scrape the earth clean and move it. And you see it on some of like the new construction sites that are going around all over your house, all by your house. This is my platoon in the bottom right. We were doing an exercise, what they call in the field, to get ready to start our deployment to Iraq. You can see me there. I'm in the back row, all the way to the left. I've got sunglasses on, and then I've got my goggles on my Kevlar. My Kevlar is what you call your helmet in the Marine Corps. So we did a work up here, and then from there, we got on a plane and went ahead and started flying over to Iraq. And here you can see our direct path. I'm kidding. So we left North Carolina. From there, we actually flew up to Iceland, and then we flew into Turkey, which is right next to Haditha Dam. Haditha Dam is where I was stationed when I was over in Iraq. I was there for about 9 months, supporting operations, basically providing supplies to towns all throughout our area of operation. You'll see on the next slide, that's me right there in the middle. And those guys surrounded me were my Marines. At that time, I was a sergeant in the Marines, and those gentlemen around me, the one right below me, he's kneeling down in front of me. He was a heavy equipment operator as well, and the other 5 around me were all truck drivers. So we would get big convoys that would come in full of supplies, and it was my job to offload those and then load them onto our trucks to bring them out to even farther out in the desert, smaller bases, so that the Marines out there had food, they got their mail, as well as any supplies that the towns needed. If you'll see on the next slide, we went into a town that had not had water yet, even in that town. That area that we're standing in right there, that was actually a school. That school is shaped as a square, and then in the middle of that school, they build around it, and that's what they call their courtyard. So a lot of their classes were indoor and outdoor. Well, we utilized it as a logistical hub, and from there, we had brought that town supplies. We had brought them electricity for the first time and water for the first time. That's me down there operating as well. I was building a ramp that we could load some tanks onto another truck to bring it back to another base to do some repairs on it. After, I was told you I was on Haditha Dam, and a dam usually sits on a river, and that dam produced power for that region. So you can see I was right on the Euphrates River. That's the river behind us. That guy right there is still one of my very good friends. His name's Matthew Bird. He lives down here in the south by me. And then that picture that is on the bottom right, that was myself and the other heavy equipment operator right before we were ready to start coming home. So we had done our 9 months deployment. We had provided various towns with supplies needed in order to survive better. And then at the conclusion of our deployment, we were able to come home. After I got home, it was shortly then after was my 4 years that I had signed up for and I had gotten out. In the Marine Corps, what did I learn? One thing I learned was there is no better place in the world than America. I learned that companionship through tough times make bonds and friendships that last a lifetime. I still have many Marines that I served with that I talk to on a daily and that are very, very dear and close friends. I learned that our values of American rights are worth more than we can imagine. We sometimes take them for granted, but things like that we should not be taken for granted. I learned that in the United States Marines, the values of honor, courage, commitment still run through my veins even 13 years out of it. I feel like my word is honored by many. I feel like I am courageous and I stick to my commitments that I stick to. I've also learned that veterans are some of the most selfless people that I've ever met. And even me being a veteran, I still try to thank a veteran when I see them because they've taken time out of their own life to sign up and to defend our American way. Now, this is a lot of words, but I also learned that every one of you are worth the struggle, the hard times, and even going to war for. As a Marine and as an American, I promise that I will always stand up for you, I will stand by you, and I will pick you up when you're down. No matter how different you are from me, whether you look different, whether you worship different, whether you're male or female, that's because you're an American, and we have those rights. And the United States Marine Corps, as well as other military branches, all the other military branches defend those rights. So I just wanted to thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learn my journey through the military. And if your mom, dad, brother, sister, uncle, neighbor, if they're a veteran, I encourage you to tell them Happy Veterans Day today, and Happy Veterans to all the Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. And lastly, as we go through changes in America, I want to say, God bless America, and we need to continue supporting our veterans and supporting our military as much as we can so we can keep this America great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hiller. That was great. Next, we have Mr. Barrett, who will be reading us a story to remind us that we have heroes all around us. We have family members who have served our country. We have people who work in our neighborhoods who have helped us to preserve your freedom. They may be your mail person. They may work on a spaceship like Henry does. They are all around us. And today is a very special day to remember to say thank you. Thank you to all of our veterans who have worked so hard for our freedoms. Mr. Barrett, thank you for reading a story to us.
Good morning. My name is David Barrett. I am the father of Jessica Barrett in the 4th grade. Not so many years ago, I was also called Sergeant Barrett. So today, in honor of Veterans Day, I'm going to read you a book, Veterans, Heroes in Our Neighborhood. Today we learn about our heroes, a really special kind, the ones who serve America and leave their homes behind. We read about the veterans who give all they can give to keep our country safe and free so we can love and live. Our teacher asked us each to name a veteran we knew. She said, "Now you may be surprised, it won't be hard to do." So after school, I asked my dad. He had amazing news. The heroes live right in our own town, so many, who can choose? There are family, neighbors, friends, who never boast or brag. We all should be reminded of their love for home and flag. The man who cuts our hair is known as Frank the Barber. But not too many know he was a sailor at Pearl Harbor. The butcher at the grocery store who cuts the meat for stew was once a paratrooper, wow, who served in World War II. And Walter is a Navy man who came to fix our heat. He once fixed boilers on the ships that sailed with the U.S. fleet. Our neighbor Jacqueline is a nurse who wears a uniform. She cared for wounded soldiers when she served in Desert Storm. Ernie is a firefighter. We knew that he was brave. And yet, we never knew about the Air Force time he gave. And Edna, our librarian, had a son named John. He died while training for Iraq. She's now a Gold Star mom. Our mailman is a volunteer who trains each year to serve. When duty calls, Bob goes abroad. He's in the Army Reserve. And Manny is a proud Marine who did a corporal's part. He was wounded overseas and wears a Purple Heart. We celebrate our Veterans Day on the 11th of November. We show our patriotic pride and promise to remember. Our heroes' headstones were the flag from coast to coast in May. It's how we honor those we've lost and mark Memorial Day. We painted posters of our heroes and marched in a parade to thank these men and women for the sacrifices they made. But we don't need a calendar to celebrate the brave. We pledge allegiance to the flag and let those colors wave. It doesn't matter where they served, what service branch or rank. What matters is remembering them and offering our thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett, for the great story. That concludes our Veterans Day presentation for today. We want to thank everyone for tuning in, and most importantly, we want to thank our veterans for everything they've done for us to preserve our freedom and teach us what it looks like to be brave and respectful. Veterans, from the bottom of our heart at Sable, we thank you for everything you've done and everything you continue to do. We wish you a very happy Veterans Day.